Hello everybody, welcome to the Political Vigilante. My name is Graham Elwood. Guess what? We just started using a Bitcoin wallet. That's right. The wallet link is below. So if you want to dip, if you want to support the show with cryptocurrency, the link is below. So, which is what you will do is help make Gotham great again. This article came out in the Global Research Initiative in 2015, and they reprinted it again a couple months ago, this summer of 2018. The United States has killed more than 20 million people in 37 victim nations since World War II. This is pretty startling, 37 victim nations since World War II. They estimated somewhere between 20 and 30 million people. This study reveals that the U.S. military forces were directly responsible for about 10 to 15 million deaths during the Korean and Vietnam Wars and the two Iraq Wars. The Korean War also includes Chinese death, while the Vietnam War also includes fatalities in Cambodia and Laos. So what this link, it's in the show notes below. It's a pretty in-depth article, and it outlines all 37 countries. I'll show you a couple of them and how the U.S. intervened, typically with the standard CIA overthrow, a democratically elected leader who didn't want to play ball with America's corporate interests. And this is something that the mainstream media will not talk about at all. The American public probably is not aware of these numbers and knows even less about the proxy wars for which the United States is also responsible. In the latter wars, there were between 9 and 14 million deaths in Afghanistan, Angola, Democratic Republic of the Congo, East Timor, Guatemala, Indonesia, Pakistan, and the Sudan. Really? We were in a war here, Angola, the Congo? I mean, like, we got to get our wars in everywhere. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. But one of the things that this article and what I want to do here is show you what happens when how many people are affected when there's a war. Not just the deaths, but the injuries, the people with disabilities, be they physical or mental, coming out of a war. I talk a lot about the 22 vets a day that die commit suicide as a result of PTSD from combat. Yeah, think about people in all the other countries where PTSD affects everybody. You're a civilian and your village gets blown up and you've seen all this awful stuff, a drone strike, you're going to have PTSD. It's going to affect you. But the victims are not just from big nations or one part of the world. The remaining deaths were in smaller ones, which constitute over half of the total number of nations. Virtually all parts of the world have been the target of U.S. interventions. All parts of the world. It's like what Smedley Butler talks about in War is a Racket. He said he was a muscle man for starting in the late 1800s. I mean, the overall conclusion reached is that the United States most likely has been responsible since World War II for the deaths of between 20 and 30 million people in wars and conflicts scattered all over the world. So when I see people, even people on the left, always screaming for war, like, do you know how awful war is? Do you know how many people's lives are ruined? Death, dismemberment, disabilities, PTSD, land destroyed, environmental impact, economies destroyed, families torn apart. I mean, it goes on and on and on. People on the left are mad about families getting separated at the border with ICE, and rightfully so. That's a pretty awful thing that's happening. But what do you think happened during all those drone strikes that Obama laid down? And the war in Iraq that Bush did, who now Bush is a hero on the left. The pain and anger is spread even further. Some authorities estimate that there are as many as 10 wounded for each person who dies in wars. 10 to 1. For every 1 casualty, there's 10 wounded. Their visible continued suffering is a continuing reminder to their fellow countrymen. It is essential that Americans learn more about this topic so they can begin to understand the pain that others feel. Someone once observed that Germans during World War II chose not to know. We cannot allow history to say this about our country. The question posed above was how many September 11s has the United States caused in other nations since World War II? The answer is possibly 10,000. Over 3,000 people died on 9/11. We've done over 10,000 since World War II. And look at the emotional, psychological, and financial impact of 9/11. Imagine that's in a bunch of places. We blow up some town square. What do you think that does? Think about when you're walking out and about wherever you live. Try to picture what it would be like if there was bombed out and you had to run and there were snipers and landmines, and think about that. Most of you are watching this in the West. Most of you are watching this in the United States, Canada, the UK, Australia, Western Europe. That's where most of you are watching this. Think about that. Just try to picture that when you're going about your daily life. What that would look like. If some loved one was killed by a drone strike or wounded. Your little brother lost a limb because he was playing in a minefield. Think about that. 37 victim nations: Afghanistan, Angola, Bolivia. I'm going to just go through a couple countries of what we done. I had no idea about this Bolivia. I knew about Afghanistan, obviously. I've been there. Angola, didn't know. But here's what we did in Bolivia. Hugo Banzer was the leader of a repressed regime in Bolivia in the 1970s. The U.S. had been disturbed when a previous leader nationalized the mines and distributed land to Indian peasants. Later, that action to benefit the poor was reversed. Can't have the indigenous people getting their land back. Come on, that'd be nuts. Can't do that, especially not in America. Come on, we do that in North America, and then where are the pipelines going to go? You know what I mean? Got to keep progress going. Got to get those pipelines going. We got to contaminate people's water supplies all throughout the country. When a white town like Grand Forks, North Dakota says we don't want the pipeline coming near us, well, of course we'll divert it. But when it goes through sacred land, well, fuck you. Chad, an estimated 40,000 people in Chad were killed and as many as 200,000 tortured by a government headed by Hassan Habre, who was brought into power in June of 1982 with the help of the CIA. Good old CIA. CIA helps. What happens? 200,000 people get tortured. There's America helping. This guy remained in power for 8 years. This guy that tortured hundreds of thousands of people and killed 40,000 people. So next time you're at a baseball game, baseball games usually get about 40,000 people. Just imagine all those people killed by some lunatic that the CIA helped. Just the next time you're at a baseball game. Okay? 200,000 people. The Texas, the stadium where the Cowboys play is about 100,000 people. So 2 full stadiums of that, those people all tortured. Next time you're at a Dallas game or you're watching them on TV. Just imagine 2 full stadiums being tortured. Their families knowing about it, how it impacted them, the stress that they're under now. Can they function in society after being tortured by the good guys at the CIA? Chile, the CIA, oh, there they are again, weird, intervened in Chile's 58 and 64 elections. In 1970, a socialist candidate, Salvador Allende, was elected president. The CIA wanted to incite a military coup to prevent his inauguration, but the Chilean Army's Chief of Staff, General René Schneider, opposed this action. The CIA then planned, along with some people in the Chilean military, to assassinate Schneider. This plot failed and Allende took office. President Nixon was not to be dissuaded, and he ordered the CIA to create a coup climate, make the economy scream. Nixon did that. Awesome. Nixon did some great work. Yeah, took us off the gold standard. Helped this happen in Chile. This is after Pinochet that we helped. It's why every time we claim, oh, Russia intervened in our elections, people in Central and South America just laugh. They laugh and they laugh and they laugh. Because look what we've done. This is just a sampling. Read the whole article, because there's an excerpt like this from so many of the 37 countries on what we did. Okay? So, thanks for supporting the show, you guys. Please go to the Patreon. Could use your help. Patreon.com/Graham Elwood. You get bonus content. You get access to really cool stuff. You get to submit articles. There are a little less than 10. I added 10 new slots of the $5 select a topic article. So for $5 a month, you get to select an article. You also get early access to audio at the $5 level. There's a lot of great bonus stuff there. And also, Progressive Comedy Tour. Ron Placone and I, November 2nd, we're going to Sacramento. November 3rd, we're going to San Francisco. Those shows are almost sold out. November 4th, we're going to Santa Barbara. That ticket link should be up soon. And we have put together the entire Florida run of the Progressive Comedy Tour in January. January 9th, Gainesville, Florida. January 10th, Miami. January 11th, Orlando. January 12th, Jacksonville. All the ticket links and everything are at grahamelwood.com. If the Northern California run is any indication, the tickets start going fast. We're probably going to sell out of Sacramento and San Francisco before November 2nd. So, thanks for watching, you guys. Thanks for supporting the show. And thank you all for making Gotham great again.